Alright, so today we're going to be tying one of my favorite patterns. I call it the Dadgum Darter. It's one of my favorite all-around patterns. I'm catching sunfish, bass, I've done carp, I've done redfish on it, I've done 4 different species of trout on it, I've done just about anything that you can think of in the United States, and I've probably done it on it. I think I'm up to 23 total species on this fly. Anytime I'm taking new beginners out, this is the fly I'm putting on just because it catches so many fish. I tie it in a number of different sizes. I tie it, this is a size 14 B10S, and I tie it all the way up to like a size 4 B10S, but a little bit differently with a couple different changes. But with that, this fly fishes pretty phenomenally all year round in just about any location that you can think of. So with that, let's get started. So first things first, I'm just going to get my thread onto this hook. Like so. And as far as thread types, normally I would tie it with a black or a white. I just had this right on hand, so this is what I went with today. It really doesn't matter. You hardly see any part of the thread when you tie this fly, just at the very front. And for this style of fly, it's such a simple fly. When I'm really knocking them out and tying for people, I'm probably knocking it out 1 every 2 minutes kind of thing. I mean, really, you can hone in on it and start knocking this out. And it's just such an effective fly for being so simple that it's a staple in my guide box. I mean, I basically have 12 of these flies on hand at all times. So with that, let's get back into this. So first things first, just get our thread started, and then first thing we're gonna do is put our lead eyes on there, just like you would a clouser or something like that. And so with the size 14, I like to use the Wapsi midget lead eyes, just like this, nothing fancy. Tiny little guys right there. Just get that. And one thing that I found that helps when you're wrapping these guys on, since they are so flat and you're tying on a really thin diameter hook, I'm doing helicopter wraps around the base of them. So all we're doing is actually wrapping around the eyes themselves. Take a couple cinch wraps and pull it tight. And what that does is it really locks those eyes in place. Awesome. So once we got those in place, we're going to work our thread all the way to the back of the hook. Just like so. Alright. This is probably the trickiest part of this fly. So what we're going to do is I'm using 140 denier, so that way I'm able to split this thread and create a little dubbing loop in between the thread pieces. Alright, and so we're going to fill that dubbing loop with some of the ice, with pearl ice dub, just like so. Alright, we're going to take a little bit out, and it really does not take much material. A lot of times more is less in this fly. So I'm basically going to take some of this ice dub, and I'm going to start stacking it so all those fibers kind of line up a little bit. Just makes it look a little bit cleaner. Alright, now that I got that ice dub stacked up, I'm going to go ahead and split my thread. Alright, just like that. See if you can see that split thread right there. I'm going to put my fingers in between it so that thread is completely split in half right there. Then I'm going to take my ice dub that I have all stacked up like this, and I'm going to throw it in between that thread, just like this. Alright, now that it's like that, I'm going to take my thread, put it over my index finger, and I'm going to give the top of that bobbin a nice twist. So now it's twisting around like that. Alright, that should be good. And now I'm going to take all those twists and work it up into that ice dub. So now we got our own little dubbing loop, just like that. This is one of my favorite things to do. I do it on almost all my ties, some sort of dubbing loop. It just makes a really clean tie anytime you're dubbing, trying to dub something. Alright, just like that. So we're going to get up to the top of our dubbing loop, just like this. Alright. As soon as we start hitting that dubbing, we're going to start working our way back up towards the top of the eyes, just like this. And after every wrap, we're just going to pull these fibers back a little bit, like so. Keep it coming all the way to the front. And on this last one, you've got to make sure you kind of time it right to where that last wrap is going on top of those eyes. So that way it kind of just covers up those lead eyes just a little bit, if that makes sense. Alright. That looks pretty good. Remember, this is a short, easy, simple fly to tie. We're using it for sunfish, bass, trout. You can tie it in bigger sizes for redfish, bass. You just anything you can think of, you could probably catch it on this fly. Alright, I'm going to take my scissors, or if you have a bodkin or something like that, whatever you want to use, just kind of, or toothbrush or something. I'm just going to take that material and kind of pick it out a little bit. But with this, the nice thing about the dubbing brush is that, or the dubbing loop rather, is that it gets those fibers pretty long right outside right when you put it on. So you don't have to do too much picking. All right. Now that we have all that, we're gonna pull it back with our fingers, just like so, and then I'm going to flip the vise over. And I'm actually going to push some of this on the side, pull it down. So everything on top, I'm going to go ahead and just cut off. Just like so. And as you can see, we're starting to come together now. Just like that. And as you can see on some of the, I'll show you after I'm done tying this, some of the video of just all the things that I've been doing with this fly and how I fish it, and just so watching how these fish are reacting to it. And it really is just a great way to go out, have some fun, catch some fish, and a nice, easy tie. Alright, so now that we're done with that, we're going to take a little bit of laser dub in black, like this. We're going to take a little pinch of it. Okay, take a little pinch of it, align those fibers by pull them apart, place them next to each other, pull them apart, place it next to each other. I do that a couple times just so most of those fibers are kind of the same length. It just makes a little bit cleaner tie. Alright, so now I'm going to place it over the top just like this, just like you would a little clouser or something like that. Alright, I'm going to do 2 wraps, give it a nice tight tug, just like so. And then I'm going to take this other side and fold it over and capture that stuff, just like that. Nice and clean. Give it another tug. Now it's nice and tight right there on top. Just like so. Alright, and with that, we'll go ahead and whip finish it. We'll throw another one on there. Alright, and there you go. Just like that. So now, I'm going to go ahead and just take this fly off. And I just want to pull that fiber back just a little bit. I typically tear the little ends off. I don't want to cut it, but I'm going to go ahead and just tear it. Just like so. And now, we've got ourselves a fly. You can see that. Basically just looks like a little minnow going through the water. And when it gets wet, all that stuff collapses and it's got that UV. It's very translucent, and so it just kind of is really see-through, and it looks just like a little minnow in the water. And with that, that's my dead gum darter, and I'll show you how I fish it, why I fish it, and my favorite things to do with it. Thank you guys for watching. Deadgum darter, my favorite fly for the hill country. It's just like the kryptonite of small bass. Small bass like that. I mean, you put it in front of it, it's just, if you have family members or anybody like that that's new to fly fishing, you tie on this fly and they will catch fish by the dozens. It's just, little bass like this cannot resist this fly. I'll let this guy go and here we go.